I'm a big believer in mission action planning. I think it's really important for any church to actively think about why we're here and why do we do what we do. We're the parish of St Michael and St Mary Magdalene, East Hampstead, in the deanery of Bracknell. Bob Jackson, who writes a lot about church growth, talks about a church and how it can become like a magic roundabout church and just going around the motions on an annual basis, on an annual cycle. Or he talks about a gospel-trained church which actively thinks about where is it going, where do we want to get to, and how might we get there. And so I really felt as a parish we didn't want to kind of get sucked into the annual cycle, this is what we do, and we just do the same thing every year. But we really wanted to think about where we're going and why we're here and what we can do to get there. So we got in contact with our parish development advisor and said to them that we'd like to start thinking about mission and where we're going and how we might become a more Christ-like church for the sake of God's world and this community. And so our parish development advisor told us all about the Parish Planning Tool. The Parish Planning Tool is a set of cards that guides you through a process which helps you as a church community to think about what God is calling you to be and what God is calling you to do as a church. The Parish Development Advisor met with us to go through the Discover and the Dream phase, and we found that really helpful. We gathered about a dozen people from our PCC who drew together over a couple of away days. We began each away day with dwelling in the Word, and we felt that was really important just to set the tone and sort of frame the day. And our members that came really said that it helped them to kind of just focus on why we were there, and it really just helps you as a church community to remind yourselves, you know, what is it to be a Christ-like church? Why are we here? What do we do what we do? And help you to kind of think about the future. And I think it's very easy to forget that in the midst of sort of talking about faculties and lighting and kind of all the day-to-day running of a parish. So I think it really just helps everybody to kind of stop and think. It was all really, really positive and built on a framework of actually what's going well in our church, what are we doing well, what's really positive, and then we were able to build upon that as to where we might go and what we might do in the future. So a couple of the things that came out in the Discover phrase was how much we really valued the diversity within our worship and how much we valued our community outreach with the homeless winter night shelter. And so we really started to think in the dreaming stage about how we might really make the most of that diversity of worship. What kind of worship perhaps could we build upon? Perhaps other areas of worship that we might think about pruning or letting go of. And also we thought about outreach and how we might build upon our outreach with those in need, perhaps with the homeless, perhaps there were other areas of outreach we could begin. What worked really well actually was the mixture of chatting in pairs and then small groups and then feeding back to a large group. Again, in any church group you're going to get some voices that can be more dominant than others and louder than others. But this process and approach really helped every voice to be heard. And so I think we really appreciated that as a church community and as a church group. I think if we were to do it again, we'd perhaps do the 2 away days in quicker succession, and we'd perhaps bring it back to the rest of the church perhaps and see whether we could draw more voices into that conversation that we could then feed into the process. I believe every parish in the diocese gets a pack for free, so don't waste the opportunity. Grab a pack and just have a go. Get it out with your PCC or your church groups and have a look at the cards and perhaps begin just having those conversations. It's a really great resource, and we found it really beneficial here to help us think about what it is to be a Christ-like church and where God might be calling us to in the future. And so I'd really just encourage every parish to pick up a pack, open it up and have a go.